Chainsaw Man is really funny right now, but don't let that fool you. It seems with the latest chapters, FUJIMOTO is showing a little bit more comedy chops, but I think that this is preparing us for the rest of the arc, which may be darker than we initially thought it would be. Something is really off about Chainsaw Man right now, and I think this is why. So let's dive into the chapter from top to bottom. As well, if you enjoy the content, drop a like and subscribe. Also, consider joining my Discord. This chapter of Chainsaw Man is titled Attack on Samurai, and well, as a person who may know a thing or two about Attack on Titan, I see no correlations at all. In fact, I choose to ignore it and pretend it has no relevance while enjoying a nice nap with my head buried in the sand. Outside of that minor discrepancy though, this chapter starts with all of them running through the facility. It's worth noting that the only reason Okaku and Bro Benny are still with them is that Okaku has nowhere to go and Bro Benny doesn't know the way out, and Gilly, well, Gyo ni, as he says. And I just find it hilarious that Bro Benny has no choice but to go along with them on this dangerous mission, only because he doesn't know the way out. I mean, imagine how bad your luck is when you're not only imprisoned, but on top of that, forced to partake in a rescue mission of the guy that, for merely existing, got you landed in the prison. It's just an entire comedy of errors, and while it's Bro Benny's nightmare, well, it's funny. and poor Bro Benny, though, thinks he has found the exit, but instead he finds a cell. Inside it are chainsaw men and women, which is just a gruesome image, very depressing, but most likely these are captured for experimentation and to be torn to pieces and dissected just like Dingy is. And when you think about it that way, that's kind of dark. Though a woman presses her face against the window of the door as Bro Benny looks on in horror, and both Bro Benny and Gilly scream in horror. It was so funny. The fact that this pigeon bird devil thing is also scared of these chainsaw men and women. It's wild. This is another thing I've noticed. Gilly is such a precious little bean. I mean, think about it. He didn't want to turbo murder those guards in the last chapter, and as well, the clothes are a different story, so Gilly is, guilty as charged there, but we shouldn't hold that against him. I mean, he even gets scared of the chainsaw people. To me, I think this cements Gilly as a character we must protect on the levels of Nayata, and of course, best girl, Himeno. But while Bro Benny is freaking the freak out, the security guard in charge of making sure Digi doesn't escape during the experimentation on him appears like out of nowhere, by the way. And as he's standing staring into the same window Bro Benny was, he says something quite honestly sobering, and this entire scene is phenomenal. The people in there, according to him, were just living these ordinary lives until yesterday, pondering why this strange thing is happening to the people out of nowhere. And interestingly, he reveals that there are a lot of theories going around as to why that is in the facility. Some suggest it's if you like Chainsaw Man above a certain amount, or that there are monsters among those who worship him. And with all of those theories, he simply has no idea what to believe. It almost reminds me in a way of like the news cycle we're constantly in 24/7, where it's just like we're so inundated with information. It's just like at some point it's just like, man, I don't even know what to believe. And that kind of feels like the same thing as what's going on in this world of Chainsaw Man, but in a different way. In a very horrifying way of people basically being turned into chainsaw people. But as Haruka tells Bro Benny to get up, he asks them why is it that his wife sprouted a chainsaw from her head as he holds his hand up to the glass window with his presumably wife. This moment was just so freaking random and surreal. Like, imagine being in this situation and this eye patch guy randomly shows up and begins to deliver an evil movie villain dialogue about his wife. Bro, I'd be freaking out. I'd be like, we gotta go. I'd be hauling all sorts of ass. I ain't taking any chances. Hell, I'd run so hard and so fast that the fabric of reality was split at the seams and I'd be teleported to another dimension because of it. That's how fast I'd be running. Well, the guy goes on to say that his wife never missed a day packing his lunch, and yet she turned into this monster. And the irritating man next door, well, he's still fine. So he pontificates and asks, is there no God? Why him? Oh, he's never done anything wrong. And just wow. This next part was wild, was something else. For some reason, Asa asks, not even once? Can I just say, the fact that Asa asked this question was just funny to me. Like, what did she think was gonna happen here? So the guy turns to her and says, well, if there was one thing, maybe my affair with a woman from the office that only lasted about 6 months. Bro, nuh-uh. This guy is wild. But Asa's face switched to Yoru's, which I can't remember if this has happened before or not. I think it has, but I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen it, but Asa's face transitioning to Yoru, it just looked really cool. The scars in her eyes just sort of faded onto her face. Can't wait to see how they animate that in, I don't know, about 2 weeks now when MAPPA animates the entire series in that span of time. Fun. But she sees through this, and rightfully so, calls him a piece of crap and goes to kick. At first, I thought it was the guy, but instead kicks Fami out of the way, and she realizes he's just buying time here. And let me tell you, the real victim of this chapter is 100% Fami. And don't worry, we will get to that. But in a twist, Katana Man bursts through the concrete reinforced walls, so badass by the way, as Fami quickly starts to regret things. As this happens, she calls for Gilly, but they have sadly gone back to their doll form as Fami says, "You're useless." Now, if you thought it was bad already for Fami, it can only get worse as Nobara at home, which is what we call her here on the channel, comes up behind Fami, ready to Maxwell Silverhammer. That's a reference, her in the head. But once again, her day gets worse as Asa drop kicks Fami in the head, like really hard to save her from Nobara at home's hammer attack. I mean, all for a good reason, but dang, the best part is that all she can say is just, ow, while she is clearly messed up big time. I mean, there is blood coming from her nose and mouth, and her eye, I'm sorry to laugh at it. It's funny, and her eyes look misplaced and googly-eyed, and I'm almost 100% certain Fami now has a mild to severe case of CTD. Seriously, look at the panel where Asa drop kicked her. That was a hard as hell kick. That was hard enough to where she's now probably a different person entirely. I fully expect in the future chapters Fami to go on a journey of self-discovery in an offshoot series, trying to put together the pieces of her old life to just go back and continue these chapters. I mean, I even think it may be worth putting together a fund for Fami to support her in these trying times. But anyways, Nobara at home. Well, they may be a little cray-cray as they tell Asa to be more careful when pushing her out of the way. But Asa, in Asa fashion, simply retorts, "Hey, bitch, you try having one arm." I mean, I added some stuff in there, but that's basically what she says. Okay, I don't know about you ladies and gents, but these 2 chapters have been strangely really funny. Like, almost too funny? Something is telling me after this rash of more comedic chapters, we are going to get some really heavy stuff for the rest of this jailbreak arc. It just makes sense because after all, Denji is being cut up into pieces. The world is experiencing, I guess, like the 4th impact or something. And also, why is everyone bringing up Evangelion lately? That's like all I'm seeing right now is Evangelion memes or something. Like, what happened? But everything is in disarray in a sinister kind of way, and it just feels like Fujimoto is preparing us for a world of hurt. I mean, think about it. The previous chapters had Nayata possibly dying and Denji basically telling everyone that the dog within him is out and ready to go. I think that the next time we'll see Denji, it'll be nothing like what we expect it to be. Because I know for a lot of us, we are kind of expecting Asa and Denji to reunite and to be like this great wholesome moment where she realizes who Chainsaw Man really is and, you know, yada yada. And I think we'll get that still and it'll be great, but I don't think Denji will ever be the same as he once was. And so I think these chapters are here to give us a little bit of fun before we enter the proverbial palace of pain. That being said, I tried to pick who in this chapter I think stole the show, and honestly, I couldn't figure out who it was. Eye Patch Guy was awesome. I mean, his dialogue was straight out of a dramatic movie, which, you know, as we all know now, FUJIMOTO loves those classic American films and is in, you know, it's a huge influence on his writing. But everything about this and him was pure gold. That being said, Asa and Fami were impeccable too. Just because of the pure and sheer punishment Fami was dealt in this chapter, I mean, oh, this girl absolutely has to be feeling all of this. The fact she just said, ow, was so her, but that meek, ow. I mean, you already know it's not a good day to be Fami. And even on top of that, Gilly left her. I mean, so now it's up to them to pick up the slack and fight Katana Man and Nobara at home on their own. I think Yoru will be a major factor in the battle, of course, but I think as is, even Katana Man or Nobara at home on their own would be too much for all of them. So I think what we're going to see is they're going to have to work together to get themselves out of this mess. I also wonder if we'll see any any new tricks from Fami though. I mean, she may at this point may be bleeding from the brain a bit too much to do anything at the moment, but it would be really nice to see her do something, you know? She seems like she has a lot of bag of tricks in those skirt pockets. But honestly, I think with everything being said, this chapter was just really good. It was a lot of fun, and I think is another stepping stone in the overall story of this arc. I'm very excited to see if we'll get an actual name for Nobara at home in the next chapter, which in general should promise to be one with at least some action, and at best, maybe action-packed. As, you know, as it is Katana Man, Nobara at home, and the Eye Patch Adulterer versus Asa, Yoru, Fami, Haruka, Okaku, and Bro Benny. But let me know in the comments what you think will happen in the next chapter. As well, what was your favorite moment in the chapter and why? You guys have been, I just gotta say it, you guys have been truly amazing to me here on Bento, and I'm so grateful for that. Like, you guys really have no idea. But you guys are the best fans on the internet, and every week I look forward to your comments because, you know, they're so nice and kind. So just know that I am extremely grateful for your participation in this community. As well, you guys and gals on my latest video for Tatsuki Fujimoto's look back got it to nearly 3K views, which is insane. So next up, as promised, is a video on Rize, and yes, I have been working on my pronunciation just because you guys have been so nice. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to support the channel further by taking advantage of channel memberships, super thanks, my merch store, or by becoming a patron, every bit helps. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.